Now on the call. Fantastic. So first of all, a big welcome from me. Welcome to the semi-final of Public Service Data Challenge. Well done for getting to this stage. I'm Siobhan Benita and I'm the moderator for Global Government Forum. So today my job is just to keep everybody to time. And on that note, just to say, you will have, once we go live, you will have up to 10 minutes to give your pitch. I will be very strict on time. So whoever's talking at kind of 9 minutes, just to be aware, I will jump in and give you a gentle 1-minute warning when it comes to 9 minutes, okay? Once you've finished your pitch, we will hand over to the fantastic judges who are there in the room, as you will see. They're keen to hear your presentation, and they will then have up to 15 minutes to put questions to you about your pitch. If you could keep your cameras on if you're pitching, but those of you who aren't pitching, just for the pitch, turn your cameras off and then feel free to put them back on when we get to the question stage. You can use your preferred language to do your presentation, and you will see on your screen there's an interpretation button. So if you want to listen in the other language, feel free to choose the channel on there. Speak clearly so everyone can see. I think there are some sound issues maybe in the room, so please do speak clearly when you're giving your presentation. If you've got slides, don't forget to put those up when you're doing your presentation. Good luck from me, and I will now hand over to you to start your presentation.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jenny from Team 3. My teammate Catalina and I will be presenting InfraSpatial, a tool for mapping tomorrow's communities on behalf of our whole team. Thank you so much for this opportunity to participate in the Public Service Data Challenge. Canada has prioritized building more homes for Canadians because housing prices have surged in recent years, creating affordability challenges for many. But the question is, where should we target our housing investments? Now, data is the key input for decision-making in infrastructure planning. Good data helps us answer key policy questions, such as what regions experience the most significant obstacles to housing and affordability, and where should housing investments be directed to enhance affordability? What we need is clean, standardized, and easy to access data from all areas that can inform policy and planning. Now, deciding where to make well-informed housing investments is grounded in geospatial analysis and key data from different areas. We need socioeconomic data to develop costing considerations, demographic data to understand where people are living and what are the gaps. We need environmental data to understand environmental and climate impacts, and we need transit data to know if our investments will be accessible to people's needs. We also need to consider the impact of future housing developments on Indigenous rights. These are some key areas, but there are certainly many other considerations. We spoke to many public servants who use data daily and heard about their current challenges with using geospatial data. We conducted 3 in-depth engagement sessions with a mix of directors and working level colleagues from Immigration and Refugees and Citizenship Canada, Public Health Agency of Canada, the Environmental Assessment and Indigenous Consultation Team, the Housing Team, and the GIS Working Group at Infrastructure Canada. And we sent out a survey to fully understand how they are currently using data, including geospatial data, and the challenges and barriers they experience in their work. We heard that while lots of open data exist within and outside of government, they are often not standardized and can have varying data quality. We also heard that there are challenges to data sharing, which further contributes to data silos, creating work inefficiencies, preventing cross-departmental collaboration, and causing delays in program development. We also heard explicitly during these engagement sessions that their challenges are related to data access, barriers to acquiring the appropriate geospatial tools and training, and lack of skills to interpret and apply geospatial analysis in decision-making and planning. Ultimately, many public servants face challenges with using and leveraging geospatial data to their full potential for informed, evidence-based decision-making in infrastructure, in housing, community planning, and beyond. Often, they find it to be inaccessible because of sharp learning curves and other barriers. To address the challenges we've heard and to build geospatial data capacity within the Government of Canada, we developed InfraSpatial, a user-friendly and interactive geospatial data and analytics tool designed to lower geospatial learning curves. InfraSpatial's ultimate purpose is to help non-geospatial data users gain confidence and familiarity with geospatial data so they can conduct and leverage geospatial analysis. Seasoned users will also benefit from InfraSpatial, as it will target many of the barriers that contribute to work inefficiencies. InfraSpatial will be designed to facilitate collaboration at all stages of geospatial data analysis, house clean, standardized, and validated data for easy access and linkage, meet specific government needs and privacy standards, have embedded geospatial analysis tools and support for data interpretation, include training, tool manuals, tips, and a chatbot to support user learning, and have scalability to use cases and applications beyond infrastructure planning. To support these ambitions, we have reached out to meet with both NRCan and Statistics Canada to inquire about IT infrastructure capabilities.
To achieve and develop our solution, InfraSpatial will be built on a user-friendly, easy-to-modify platform that can craft a compelling geospatial application. It would have the ability to unify spatial tools, widgets, and data into one customizable interface, creating an immersive web experience for users. In particular, our solution will tackle the problems identified in our engagement sessions. InfraSpatial would eliminate the hassle of hunting down data from multiple sources, bringing data and analytics needs together into one application. And with clean, standardized data readily available into InfraSpatial, users will have more time for actual analysis. Next, we will ensure InfraSpatial aligns with government, accessibility, and privacy standards, as we will have granular control over how widgets behave and interact with other elements, data, and content. Now, a common concern during our engagement sessions is the accuracy and confidence when performing geospatial analysis. To address this concern, we will integrate various features within InfraSpatial, including a methods page, a manual outlining the tool's features, tooltip icons, verifying checkpoints, and built-in training to facilitate learning. In addition, we propose to integrate vetted and secure AI technology into InfraSpatial to enable natural language queries, data analysis task assistance, and on-demand support. Lastly, InfraSpatial will have scalability for diverse applications. Considering that data integration and analysis involves overlaying different data sets to discern spatial relationships and patterns, the tools within InfraSpatial could facilitate and assist users to extract valuable insights and address spatial challenges across various subject areas. Of course, these are just some of the highlights to our solution, but we can delve into further detail during the Q&A session. To illustrate, InfraSpatial could have reduced the time and effort spent in a geospatial analysis recently completed by working level analysts from the Data and Analytics Division in collaboration with the Housing Directorate at Infrastructure Canada. This team wanted to create a map that shows federally owned properties best suited for housing development, taking into consideration socio-demographic data and other spatial indicators like transit. The analysis generated information at the neighborhood and city level to glean insights on the population characteristics of communities in need of housing. The output supports data-driven decision-making by ensuring that housing is developed in livable communities where Canadians need it most. Housing is, of course, top of mind for Canadians and for the Government of Canada, given the project's recognition from many levels of management and the Housing Minister, Sean Fraser. Geospatial analyses are essential to understand and meet the housing and infrastructure needs of communities. And while this analysis proved to be useful, it was a time and labor-intensive process that involved 7 employees across 2 teams, taking 2 weeks to track down, clean, analyze, and map data. Much of the geospatial federal lands assessment could have been reduced to a very small number of steps, with InfraSpatial playing that role. A future similar analysis could be completed using InfraSpatial in a few hours by a single analyst. Ultimately, InfraSpatial has the potential to simplify and automate the extraction, transformation, and processing of data. It aims to serve as a comprehensive solution for users seeking refined and standardized data primed for analysis. To continue developing InfraSpatial, we have a high-level plan and understand the path forward to answering our remaining questions. This includes finding a cost-effective, secure hosting platform and host follow-up engagement sessions with data, analytical, and GIS experts. We also have
1 minute to go, Catalina.
Thank you. We have several costing options from Esri, INFCIT, and department experts to build InfraSpatial. But wait, there's more. We know that InfraSpatial's scope goes beyond housing issues and can tackle spatial questions like how do spatial disparities and access to essential services such as healthcare, education, and transportation vary across different regions of Canada. Ultimately, this speaks to how diverse and scalable InfraSpatial could be built to help various fields and address pressing questions in Canada today. Thank you.
Catalina, thank you so much. Thank you to Jenny as well. And if the rest of the team want to come back and you can stop sharing your screen so that we can see everybody, I'm going to go straight over to the judges for questions. Who would like to come in first? Does anybody particularly want to come in with their first question? Yes, Julie, over to you.
Thank you. First off, thank you for the presentation. I appreciate the angle and the emphasis you put on the consultation you've done. My question to you is also in terms of the engagement you did with Natural Resources Canada. Did you run into the group that takes care of the GeoBase site? Because this is something that's an initiative that's led at the federal government with PTs as well. And so GeoBase does a lot of some of the things you're trying to do and trying to develop. So I'm just trying to see how you differentiate yourselves from that, given that this platform is open data already. Thank you.
Thanks, Julie. Who would like to take that question?
Yeah, I can jump in and then I'll let the rest of the team sort of jump in. Yeah, we are aware that there are several other visualization tools and geospatial tools available. And we went with the NRCan team, the digital accelerator team, but specifically we met with folks that were experts in geospatial tools such as QGIS. So we are very familiar now with the capacity and capabilities with QGIS. In terms of our the overlaps between InfraSpatial and other visualizing or geospatial tools, we've definitely been across many, but we note the differences between the tools available and also the data availability within those tools and the limited access to those tools. But I'll let the team speak to the rest of the question. Maybe Marika, you can speak to the user side of things.
I can't speak directly to the NRCan tool. I haven't had the opportunity to take any time to actually actively use it. But I'm on the environmental assessment and Indigenous consultation team at Infrastructure Canada. And one of the things that we find really difficult is to find a single source of the information that we're looking for when we do analyses for infrastructure projects. So we spend a lot of time jumping from, just as examples, from ATRIS for our Indigenous consultation information to Toporama for watersheds, BC, Saskatchewan, and Alberta Habitat Wizards, which provide us with species at risk information, everything from existing bridges to existing infrastructure that we're looking at. And the problem with that is that there's no centralized piece of information or a centralized place where all of that information is accessible. The data is all there, but it's in so many different places that there's a lack of efficiency in our ability to complete our work. So the goal with InfraSpatial is to provide a single platform where all of that source data is available to an endpoint user. And at this stage, we're not seeing that is existing across the field.
Thanks, Marika. And Jenny, you want to come in?
I just wanted to add, I know that there's a lot of other platforms out there. I think we saw all these different tools developed, but from our point of view, I think what we heard during the engagement sessions, like Marika said, there is a plethora of tools and data out there, but it's really hard to still use them in one place. And the other thing that I wanted to mention is what differentiates InfraSpatial from the other tools is that we are trying to create something that has both data and analytics in one place. And InfraSpatial, we're hoping, is that not only will it have access to all the different data that a lot of users will want to have access to, but it'll also have the analytics capability needed to create geomaps or do modeling and be able to apply the analysis into their own work. So I think that's what ultimately differentiates us from a lot of the other platforms. We also find that even though there are other platforms out there, we're coming from a place of collaboration. It's not really, one is better than the other. It's really about learning from the other different tools that are out there, seeing how it can be applied to our own tool as well, and trying to see what other people are doing better than us, because we are trying to create a product that is focused on infrastructure, but also has the scalability to other areas.
Thanks, Jenny. I'm going to come back to the judges. Who would like to put the next question? Yes, over to you, Dominic.
Hi, everyone. My question is, can you please define what a non-GIS user is for you? Who's your target audience here? And the second part to it is, what does success look like at the end of this project?
Thanks, Dominic. Who would like to take Dominic's question?
Yeah, I can take on that, and then Marika, I'll pass it over to you. So yeah, great question. On my team, I'm part of the data analytics team at InfraSpatial Canada, and we're heavy on data. So what we usually do is we collaborate with teams, we assist with them to do tools in geospatial analysis. And that was a part of one of the examples that we presented today, which was the Housing Directorate. They don't have the GIS capacity to do any geospatial work. However, they are really interested, and their work is really tied geospatially. So to speak to your question about non-GIS users and defining that, it's users that ultimately don't have the capacity to do any geospatial analysis, right? They don't have the basic foundation to do geospatial analysis. But with InfraSpatial, we're trying to promote that GIS and geospatial analysis can be done, and it's quite straightforward if the tools and guidelines are available to you. And with that, I'll pass it over to Marika to add anything.
I can just clarify too, just as a quick, just to help maybe narrow it a bit more, because my grandmother is not, does not have the capabilities as an example of using geospatial tools. Is she a target person of this tool?
Right, great question. Yeah, the target is for professions like in the federal government, like Infrastructure Canada, urban planners, tied with, they're looking into data related to infrastructure, community, housing, along with other variables that InfraSpatial will have included in the tool. Jenny?
I will just add that I'm definitely considered somebody who's a non-geospatial user. I work within the federal government, but I think what differentiates between a non-geospatial and a geospatial user is somebody who, like myself, do not have the training or the expertise, but sees the potential and is able to understand that geospatial data and analysis exists out there and can be leveraged to answer policy questions or health-centered questions. I myself have worked with geospatial users and data experts. I don't really know the sort of nitty-gritty parts behind that, but I see the potential of it. And I think our tool is targeted towards not only seasoned users, but also people who appreciate and understand how it can be leveraged, but don't necessarily have the training or the expertise. And that's where we come in and we can try to fill that gap. Over to you, Marika.
Yeah, just to elaborate a little bit more, when we initially started working on the development of the tool, we had a sense that this would be targeted primarily to federal government employees or public service employees who were working within an infrastructure environment. So they were looking at different infrastructure projects and trying to determine through geospatial and analysis the best location to build something, or the best place for a train to go, or a bridge, or whatever the case may be. But just coming from the perspective of the groups that I work with within Infrastructure Canada that are external to our federal body, I think that there's a really great target market in municipalities and Indigenous groups that don't necessarily have the capacity or the tools to do this type of analysis themselves. I can speak specifically for a number of Indigenous communities who have such a small sort of governing body that they don't have the ability to do this on their own, and they have to reach out and hire someone who does. And that can be an extremely high cost for them. A tool like this would allow them to do the analyses that they need to do in order to develop an infrastructure project like a community center or even a new water treatment plant before they even move into the design and development phase of their projects. And I think that that is a very high value for the people that we supply funding to for projects, to be able to look at the same things that we look at with a tool that is accessible to them.
Thanks, Marika. I'm conscious of time. I want to get in one more question from the judges, but Jenny, you wanted to come back on this question.
Yeah, I know Dominic had said that, what does success look like to us? For our team, I think we've already encountered many successes. We have a high level plan. We know who to engage next, but really the next step would be where would our tool be hosted on? What platform would it be hosted on? Who else and who are the other experts that we need to engage, develop a feasibility plan, look at costing, and ultimately it would be to actually build this tool and put it in place. Catalina, do you have anything else to add for success? Anyone else? Okay, next question.
Great. Over to the judges. Do we have another question? Erica, thanks.
Hi, thanks for the presentation. Very useful to walk through your consultation process. My question is two parts. One is my colleagues and I would like to know what are some of the challenges you faced in the development of the tool and be able to scale that up to a broader scale across the government. The second part of the question is maybe a carry on from Dominic's question. Thanks for explaining the target audience for the tool. My question is, when it comes to infrastructure planning, it doesn't happen just within the federal government. There's urban planning that's happening in municipalities, provinces and territories. I'm wondering if you have looked into that kind of a space, because when it comes to actually standing up a community center, like you have expressed, that's somewhat of a local government kind of responsibility. Wondering if you have broadened that kind of target audience of people across Canada, to the Canadian public, if that could be a beneficiary of this kind of tool. Thank you.
Thank you. We've got 2 minutes to go to answer this question. Who would like to come in? So 2 parts to that question. Who would like to come in? Marika?
I can take the second half of the question if another team wants to address the first.
Go with the second half, and then we'll see how much time we have.
Okay. So just speaking to the scalability of it, yeah, definitely. This is something that can be used cross-governmentally from municipalities all the way up to us. I feel, or will we feel, that if proponents and municipalities and provinces and the federal government bodies are able to look at the same information in the same place, there's a huge value in that, because then we're all seeing the same thing and it's easier to answer questions before we even have them, if that makes sense.
Thanks.
Having that tool, like if I'm able to say, hey, go look at InfraSpatial, here's the information that I pulled from it, to a proponent, and then they're able to talk to the province that's also working with them for funding, then we are all looking at the same thing, and it's all coming from the same place with vetted data that is readily available for everyone involved.
Thanks, Marika. And Jenny, you've got your hand up. This will probably
I'll
the
just-
final say.
I'll just speak to the first part of the question around challenges. Some of the challenges we encountered was really around engagement. Like we had a lot of engagement sessions, we sent out surveys, but there are still a lot of people that we need to speak to. We also have a high level plan, but there are a lot of the individual steps from the plan to implementation that we still need to explore. We don't have, like, we also need to really engage other experts, and we don't really know what we don't really know. So those are kind of the things that we have to think through and consider before we get there. But right now, I think we have a good plan to get us to the next step.
Thank you. Matthew, you've literally got 10 seconds and then we're going to have to wrap it up.
Okay, then really quickly, the big thing we haven't finished yet is we've been talking to a lot of different groups, the kind of big picture, what are the big problems, but we haven't gotten into the nitty-gritty of what specific data sets do we need to include in this tool. And those are conversations that we've already started, but that's kind of next big step, is what specific data is needed. We've got a really good big picture, but we're working on those details.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Matthew. And thank you to all of you on the team. Great presentation on a really, really important topic. I'm going to invite the team to leave us now, but well done, everybody, and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, judges, you have 10 minutes and we'll start bringing the other team in 5 to get ready. And we've got 3 of these before the next break, so it's a bit back to back, the next 3.